Hello everyone and welcome to Independent Art Storytime. We're reading our way through The Box of Delights by John Masefield, and this is part 2. Kay has just been playing cards on the train with the foxy-faced gentleman and the man with the chubby face. Let's see what happens to him next. When the train started, the two men returned. Kay was again studying his map, and he was afraid that the men would suggest more cards, but they had returned deep in thought. They talked to each other in low voices in a tongue which Kay thought must be Italian. He glanced at them sideways from time to time, and there was something in the way of their bending their heads together which seemed very sinister. Kay wondered that he had ever thought of either of them nice. They were talking about somebody. They seemed to be looking out for somebody, and whenever the train stopped at one of the little stations, Gabbart's Cross, Lower Torrington, Stoke Devver, Radso, the men went out into the corridor and seemed, as Kay decided, to watch all the people leaving the train. They had friends, accomplices, Kay called them, in the train. For once, at Radso, as Kay was looking out for the landmarks of home, he saw the foxy-faced man who'd got out onto the platform, signalling to a man in a forward carriage. These men are up to no good, Kay thought. They're after somebody. Very likely it's some farmer coming home from the beast market with a lot of money whom they're going to rob. Oh, I do hope they don't talk to me again. He settled again into his map as they returned to the carriage. Still feeding the mind, what? The foxy man said. Yes, please, Kay said. And can you tell me what country we are now coming to? Yes, Kay said. If you will look there, you will see Condicott Church. Then that wooded hill is King Arthur's Court. It's a Roman camp. Up there is Broadbarrow, where there used to be a gibbet. Indeed, the man said. Well, well, this next station will be Condicott, I take it. Yes, Kay said. You hear that, Palomides? He said to his companion. Sir Lancelot says Condicott's the next stop, where the hawks get out to wait for the chicken, if the chicken is still on the wing. Not so loud, not so loud, the chubby-faced man said with a look of harm. Good heaven, what was that? Some slight noise made them all look towards the corridor. It was only the Irish terrier of the old man, Barney Dog, standing on his hind legs to look into the compartment. With a scratching of claws upon the paint, the dog dropped from his post and slid away. Yet Kay somehow felt uneasy for the dog had looked at him so strangely. A dog, I think, the chubby man said, with a warning glance at his friend. One of the friends of the man, as they are called. Do you keep dogs at Seekings, Mr. Harker? Kay jumped. But how did the man know his name and home? How do you know about me, sir? He asked. Magic, no doubt, the man said. But there is a proverb. More know Tom Fool than Tom Fool knows. Not that I want you to think that I think you a fool. By no means. By no means what? The foxy man said as he put up his card in their case. He's no fool, but a hawk with the eyes of a gimlet, our young friends from Seeking's house. And this is Condicott Station. It is, Kay said, still marvelling that the men should know him. The train was stopped. There was always a press of people on Condicott platform at the coming in of that train. There was on this day. Kay was bumped and thrust by people getting in and out. There in the press was Caroline Louisa, come to meet him. Then, among other familiar faces, the old busman James came forward to help him with his bags. Why, Master Kay, how you've growed, to be sure. Learning seems to suit ye. He crossed the line with the crowd. As he gave up his ticket at the exit gate, he was bumped and thrust amongst the company. When he'd won through the press and was safely in the car, he found he had been robbed. I say, he said, there must have been pickpockets in the crowd. They've got my purse and my dollar watch. When you had them last? A few minutes before we reached the station. And did you feel any hand at your pockets? No, of course not. I was pushed and shoved in the crowd, of course. And did you notice any suspicious person near you? No. Hello, here's my ticket. But you just gave it up now. So I did, he said. Well, that's a queer thing. I couldn't find my ticket at Musborough. An old man was there and said, lo, it's on the platform, and it was, right at my feet, and I must have picked up some other chap's ticket. Perhaps it was the old man's own ticket. Why, there is the old man, the old fellow with the green baize case and the Irish terrier. What is he? Caroline Louisa asked. A Punch and Judy man? I don't know, Kay said. I'll ask him, and I'll ask if he has his ticket. And may I offer him a lift? He's rather a poor old chap to be lugging those loads around. Ask him if you like, she said. Kay asked him, had he given him his own ticket at Musborough? No, I thank you, the old man said. I had my own ticket, thank you, and have given it over now. Will you please tell me, Kay said, if you are a Punch and Judy man? I am, so to speak, a showman, the old man said, and my Barney dog is, as it were, my Toby dog when chance does call. I was to ask you if you would like a lift down to town, as it's rather steep and so cold. No, I thank you, young master, the old man said, but if you would once more steady my show, why then I should not stumble. Kay helped him a little, so that the case did not overbalance him as he swung it to his shoulders. And I thank you, young master, he said. Time when we had power like the sun, we could swing the earth and the moon, and now our old wheels are all running down, and we are coming to our second childhood. Still, they say, he went on, that it begins again in the course of time, but the secrets of my show, they aren't to be had by these common ones now, are they? Kay did not know what to say to this. Hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs it goes, the old man said, and then all the way back again. The old man paused an instant and looked around him. By this time all those had met or who had travelled by the train were gone from the station yard, while the porters and ticket men had gone back to the shelter. And now, Master Harker of Sea Kings, the old man said, now that the wolves are running, as you will have seen, perhaps you would do something to stop their bite, or wouldn't you? I don't know what you mean, Kay said. But is there anything I can do for you? Master Harker, he said, there is something that no other soul can do for me but you alone. As you go down towards Sea Kings, if you would stop at Bob's shop, as it were, to buy muffins now. Near the door you will see a woman, plaided from the cold, wearing a ring of a very strange shape. Master Harker, being like my ring here, of the long ways cross in gold and garnets. And she has very bright eyes, Master Harker, as bright as mine, which is what few have. If you will step into Bob's shop, to buy muffins now, saying nothing, not even to your good friend, and say to this lady, the wolves are running, then she will know, and others will know, and none will get bit. I'll do that, of course, Kay said. But how did you know my name? When the wolves run, it betides to know, Master Harker, he said, and I do bless you. But time and tide and butter's eggs will wait for no man, he added. He swung away at once, bent under his pack, followed by his dog Barney. He had that odd stagger or waddle in his knees that Kay had so often noticed in old countrymen. How on earth does he know my name, Kay thought, and how does he know Bob's shop? I've certainly never seen him before today. And he went back to the car. I'm sorry to have been so long, he said. He's a queer old man. I should think he's been something very different once. About you being robbed, Caroline Louisa said. Who was with you in the train? 2 men, but I don't think they'd have robbed me. They were 2 sort of curates. They got in at Hope under Chester's and got out here. The funny thing was they knew my name and that I came from Sea Kings. They could have read that from your luggage label, she said. If your curates got on at Hope under Chester's, they may have been members of the missionary college there. I say, Kay said, are there any muffins? No, she said, tea cakes, but no muffins. Would you mind frightfully if we stopped at Bob's and got some muffins? Only you'll have to lend me some tin, for my purse is gone and I haven't got a tosser to my kick. Now, Kay, you mustn't use slang in the holidays. That's nothing to some, I know. At this moment the car passed the old man, and Kay waved to him, and the old man waved back. By the way, Kay said, are there buttered eggs for lunch? Yes, especially for you. We must get on to them. You know, Kay said, there's something very queer about that old man. He knew there'd be buttered eggs. He said time and tide and buttered eggs wait for no man. I expect that a good many have said something of the sort. No, Kay said, he meant me, and that I ought to hurry up. There's something uncanny about him, I mean in a good sense. Do you think he could have picked your pockets? No, I don't. He was near you. No, but I had my money and my watch after I was near him and missed them before I saw him a second time. Look, there are the two curate sort of men, both in the bus there. I can't look at them while I'm driving, I'm afraid. You're sure they didn't rob you? Quite. Though I didn't like them very much. I say, I wish you'd let me drive. Not for another 5 years, Kay. I say, why forever not? Because it's against the law, for one thing, and likely to be fatal for another. Fatal fiddlesticks. We've a man in the Forth at the Coll who drove the old Bodger's car once. What do curates do at Chester's? They read good books and learn how to be clergymen. They have to work in the farm and the garden, I believe. Did they want you to join them? They didn't ask me. I wish you'd tell me about them. I don't know very much to tell. They're the other side of the county. It seems to me that I seem to have heard that most of them go off to missions after a time of training, and they get eaten by a casserie. Some of them, perhaps, but I'm not telling you the news. I've got rather a shock to give you. All the Jones children are with us for the holidays. Oh, I say, golly, whatever for? The parents have to go abroad, and I couldn't bear the children to have nowhere to go for Christmas. I do hope you won't mind frightfully. I don't mind at all, he said. I like the Joneses, some of them. No, I like all of them, really. There's rather a gallop of them, though, isn't there? I'm putting Peter into your room, she said. You'll have 2 little snug beds and can be like robbers in a cave. We'll have some larks, I expect, Kay said. I do hope Maria has brought some pistols. She generally has 1 or 2. I hope she has nothing of the kind. What do you mean by pistols? What sort of pistols? Oh, the usual sort of pistols. Revolvers. She's got a lot of them from some robbers once. She's sure to have some still. She says she couldn't live without pistols now. She shoots old electric bulbs hanging from the clothesline. She shall shoot none at Sea King's, I trust. They sped on towards Sea King's. I say, Kay said, how far is Hope under Chester's from here? 30 or 35 miles? Do you know it at all? No, not more than one can know by passing. I thought it looked like a wonderful sort of place. I'd like to go exploring there. It's deep, wild country, she said, but it's just a little far away for winter exploring. Let's leave it till the summer. When I grow up, Kay said, I mean to explore all the wild bits left in England. There aren't very many, she said, but the Chesters are the wildest near here. Do you think any of the people are pagans there still? Not at heart, the bishop said, but a good many in outward observance. There's some snow, he said. I do hope we can have real deep snow so we can make a snowman. The paper says there will be snow, and the glass is falling. As they entered a little street, it was so dark, with the promise of snow, that the shops were being lighted. They were all decked out with holly and mistletoe, tinsel, crackers, toys, oranges, model Christmas trees with tapers and glass balls, apples, sweets, sucking pigs, sides of beef, turkey, geese, Christmas cakes and big plum puddings. "I say, I do love Christmas," Kay said. "You'll have to give me a whole lot of tin presently, please, for I have to get 4 extra presents for the Joneses, and I wonder if I could get Jane to give me a plum pudding that I could give to the old man. I wouldn't like him to have no plum pudding on Christmas. And would you mind stopping at Bob's?" "Jane will give you a plum pudding," she said as she stopped the car in the busy marketplace. There were open-air booths there selling all manner of matters for Christmas, chiefly woolen mufflers, nailed boots, cloth caps, hedger's gloves, and the 28-pound cheeses known as Tatchester double stones. The keepers of the stall were flogging their arms against the cold. Some of them were packing up before the snow began. Kay passed through these in some sort of excitement. "Of course, it's all rot," he said. "How can he know that there will be a woman near the door there? And yet there is one, sure enough." Bob was the baker and confectioner of the little town. His shop was always sweet and pleasant with the smell of new bread. His window at this Christmas time was a sight to see. In it there were 2 Christmas cakes, 4 stories high, in pink and white sugar, both crowned with little dancers in tinsel who went round and round, each holding a little electric light bulb. All round these cakes were the most marvellous crackers that the eye ever saw or the child pulled. But Kay was not thinking of cake or crackers. He looked only at the figure of the woman who stood near the shop window with her back to the wall, staring at the man who was calling at a nearby booth. "The very best warm caps and mufflers as worn by the great explorer Shackleton. The North Pole caps and mufflers as worn by airmen. North and South Pole caps and mufflers." She was plaided all over, head and shoulders, with a grey plaid shawl. And now, as Kay grew near, the woman, who had been motionless, stirred. Her right hand came from underneath the plaid and drew closer around her, and held it there. Her hand was wearing what looked like a chamois leather glove. On the middle finger, outside the glove, and therefore very conspicuous, was a ring such as the old man had worn. A heavy gold ring, arranged in a St. Andrew's cross and set with garnets. At the same time the woman shook the plaid back from her face, so that Kay saw a pair of eyes so bright they seemed to burn in the head. And she looked keenly at Kay. At the instant there was nobody very near. Kay looked at her. His heart beat as he said in a low voice, "The wolves are running." She looked hard at him, gave a very slight nod, and as Kay went on into the shop to buy the muffin, she slipped away sideways, walking very swiftly, with an erect bearing. An old woman coming out of the shop with a basket shoved Kay aside, so that he lost sight of her at that point. She had moved into the thickest of the crowd in the marketplace. "Well, that's very odd," Kay thought to himself. "I wonder what on earth he meant by the wolves are running, and why it's so important that she should know." When he had bought his muffins, he stood on Bob's steps for a moment, trying to get the packet into his pocket. He looked out with relish at the street, thinking how good it was to be home for the holidays. "Well, I'm blessed," he said. "There are some more of those police dogs working a cold scent." Indeed, some Alsatian dogs were at the crossroads, testing the air with their noses, swaying their heads with the motion of a weaving horse as though trying to catch a difficult scent. There were 3 or 4 of them. They padded about, casting this way and that, sometimes lifting, sometimes dropping their noses. Somehow he did not like the look of them. "I wonder who it is who has the Alsatians," he said to Caroline Louisa. "Oh, a good many people have them," she said. "I never liked them. They're too like wolves." "Yes, they are like wolves, aren't they?" he said. "Are they the sort of dog that they have as police dogs?" But this Caroline Louisa didn't know. We'll see you for the next instalment very soon.